Morning, family. This is December the 26th, and we're getting out of 2017 going into 2018. This year is almost over, and I haven't been videoing as I wanted to because I had other priorities and tried to video the family gathering, but wasn't able to do that because of some complications. I had to delete what I had videoed. So anyway, this morning, at the end of the year, I wanted to retell you a little bit about my history. Some things had been coming up or some questions about my name. And as you know or may not know, I legally changed my name. Excuse me. I had to appear before a judge and tell him my reason. And he gave his legal opinion and answer to my request to have my name changed. And he did that for me. I paid money. I went through a process, and my name was carefully thought out. And so I just want you to know why I had my name changed, and a little bit about your grandmother, your great grandmother's, in your mother's history, for those of you who don't know. As you know, I was an orphan, and by that I mean that I was not ever legally adopted by anyone. My mother, at the time of my birth, was a prostitute. And so I was a result of her making money. She was giving sex for pleasure, and she got money in return. And so I do not know who my father is, though I do know who my mother is. I've never known who my father is. Now, at the time of my birth, my mother was about 22 or 23 years old. And she, despite my mother was the daughter of a Methodist minister, she was a very rebellious young woman, I'm told. She had 5 sisters. And so my mother was the rebellious one. And at that particular time, she was not living in her parents' home. I don't know whether it was because of her choice or her rebellion, but I am told that my mother had a friend who was also a prostitute, or a woman that dealt in prostitution and other illegal means of monetary gain, and that she was either living with a man and she could not have children. She wanted to have children. So she told my mother, who was unable to work, I guess because of her size, that if she would give her the child, that she would take care and provide her room and board. And so they had that agreement. And so when I was 3 days old, my mother changed my name. My name was Billy Dean. At the time of my birth, I was given my sister's father's name, who was a white man. He wasn't my father. And so I was named Billy Dean Blansett at the time. So my mother gave me to this lady, and this lady did not like the name Billy Dean. She devised a story that she had had me by an Indian man and birthed me at home. So she was able to obtain an illegal birth certificate. She changed the date of my birth, so I have really two birth certificates on file. So she changed my name, and at this time, her idol, I guess being women of the street, her idol was Kim Novak. So she liked Kim Novak, who was a Hollywood sex symbol at the time. So she named me after Kim Novak. She named me Kim. So at the age of 4 years old, well, she didn't keep me very long. She kept me, this lady's name was Jeannie Mae. She kept me for 3 months. And she gave me to another family who also did not go through the legal means to obtain me as their child. And so I was told that I was left with them. They didn't know my name and they didn't know how old I was. And they said that they had to take me to a neighborhood doctor at that time who guesstimated my age, and they learned, what to feed me and everything. So I was in this home, and at the age of 4, uh, I started being, my first memory of being touched by a man started at the age of 4, and it's a very vivid memory. And it started at the age of 4, but it continued throughout my young life well into my teen years. And so, what that produced in me was a very dysfunctional and sexual behavior in me. And also, because of this promiscuity, it turned to promiscuity in my teen years. And because of this, I had a victim mindset. I felt that that was my purpose, that I had been born for the purpose of using a man, for a man to use me. And so I did I did that very freely, and I say freely, not even talking about the monetary side of it, but free in my mind that I was doing what was normal. And so at the age of 18, your mama, your grandmother, your great grandmother found herself in prison. And I had lived with these offenses. There's some things that you cause on yourself, and there's other things that people do to you that that you have nothing to do with, acts that they perpetrate on you. And so I had lived with these offenses up until, without sharing them with anybody, up until I went to prison. And in prison, um, they had offered some counseling classes, and I started going to these counseling classes and participating, and a door was open. I said, God opened up a door for me to learn about myself and me to understand my own behavior. Then later on in life, when I began to have knowledge of the word and knowledge about the spiritual battles that we face, I understood, or I came to understand, because of my beginning, that my mother and my second mother, my third mother, had offered me up, so to speak, on a spiritual uh, altar of sacrifice for the devil. And so as I began to grow in God and began to pray about it, I began to change and was able to change a lot of my own behavior and and gained understanding about why I had did a particular thing at a particular time. So, winding this up until today, I decided when I was in my 50s and I was praying, and the Lord, God speaks to us whether we want to acknowledge that He sees, and He speaks to us in many ways. I don't ever want you to think that your grandmother, your mother is a Bible thumper and she just says things out of ignorance. I mean, I can only explain to you how I understand. My understanding is, and today I still believe it, God speaks to us in many different ways. And He began to tell me the life that He had for me. And He gave me a new name, and the name was Anna. When I researched the name, I found that it meant blessed. And so I accepted that name and the prophecy that it carried with me, that my latter days would be greater than my former days, and that at the end of my life, because I was in my 50s when I decided to legally have my name changed, at the end of my life, that I would be much more happier as an individual and have more insight, more wisdom, more joy, more purpose. And so I changed my name. Now, for you all who have had difficulty adopting to my new name, if I had became a Muslim and decided my Muslim name was Aisha Mohammed, then you would probably respect that. But you should respect your mother and your grandmother, your great grandmother's name change. You should respect that. And you should understand the history, the horrible history, and what I endured as a child. And when you call me Anna, that you are calling me blessed. You shouldn't have a problem with calling me by my new name. Now, I thought this morning, I thought about Abraham. And I said, Abraham, he was told to leave his family and go to a place that God would show him. When he left his family, he didn't know where he was going. And God changed his name from Abram to Abraham. He changed Sarah's name. And in the Bible, you find that God changed even when Saul had his name changed to Paul. And so names are very important. And anytime, my love, that you decide to make a change in your life, people who have gotten accustomed to that old person will try to hold you ignorantly